Alrighty, welcome guys. How we doing? Welcome to another stream here. Welcome to a cautiously optimistic day. I know we look good. There's still some levels to watch out for today. Definitely want to be cautious still, but a lot of things held as we wanted them to. Right, the technicals did what we wanted them to do. So as of right now, you continue to just watch the technicals. I know, a lot of us are waking up pretty optimistic here. Looks like a very nice move in the after hours, and most of it is due to where the market held on the technicals. Now, the other part is just the whole entire sort of the game that goes on, right, guys? So before we get into that, let's wait a second. We'll talk a little bit about how the news is affecting this and how this always happens, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's go ahead and take a second for some more people to let me take a step back. I don't want to say all this without some more people on the stream. Let's wait for a little bit more people to join. So, good morning. How's everyone doing? Anyone take any swing trades from yesterday? I am currently in some Apple calls, so very, very happy about that. Should be a very nice morning for me off of Apple. I'll go over the Apple trade. I'll show you why I took it. Some really nice setups on Apple and went with it. So really, really happy about that. So that'll be nice. Yesterday I also traded Home Depot. Obviously wish I held that, but it was a nice profit. Home Depot started to stall intraday, so I just took it. So that's what I'm currently in. And then, of course, I'm in AbbVie. As you guys still know, AbbVie, I'm in January calls. I've been in those since October. So that's awesome. Those are killing it. AbbVie hit new highs yesterday. Killed that. That was a great play. Still in it from October when this thing dipped for some really dumb reason and just grabbed that thing, and awesome. And then also I'm still in some Hertz March calls. Hertz rental car. I'm in some March calls. Been holding those. Been under some pressure, but I'm not really too concerned about those. Took Apple, Visa. Visa's badass, man. I love Visa. Visa I took I have an account that me and my family sort of manage, and I took some Visa there. I didn't take it myself, but Visa's definitely one that I like a lot. And I don't think anyone has missed Visa or Mastercard upside. I think we're going to talk about that actually today. I think Visa and Mastercard are presenting some very big opportunities in the future, not in the short term, maybe in the long term, 6 months out, 10 months out. Long dated, I think you get a nice opportunity. So you took SPY calls, nice. Carlitos, that's going to be nice. Everything. So I think this is a good time to start talking. Let's go ahead and start talking. So guys, everything on the technicals held up, right? So everything technically looked great. And this is, we're going to go through these cycles on this live stream every couple months, right? People panic because the news comes out. They panic people. They talk about really scary things. And as long as you just watch the charts and try to put that noise out, you will, more times than none, find opportunity. There will be times where it doesn't hold up. There will be times where you get a little bit clapped. But as long as you focus on risk management, you really can't get too clapped, and you can always come back. But if you focus on the technicals, everything that we're going to look at today aligned with every technical thing that we've looked at on this channel for the last 2 weeks. The 15.7 retest, the September highs, the 50 SMA on the NASDAQ and on the S&P, it all lined up perfectly. So if you just sometimes ignore that noise, if you stop trying to hypothesize why there should be a market crash, there's a lot of times where you can catch opportunity. Now, before I say this, I'm not saying that we are out of the weeds here yet today. By no means do I think we are out of the weeds in any sense, because I'm looking at my chart right now and there's a heavy resistance level that we are going to be opening up here on the NASDAQ. So we're going to be opening in this pretty heavy supply zone, which could definitely cause some downside. However, I will say, if you take one step at a time, the move that we're seeing right now is a great step in the right direction, and it is holding the perfect levels that we needed to see hold. So I'll take that. I like that I saw that. I'm not going to say that we're ready to go to new highs because we're definitely still in some resistance. But the levels that held yesterday and the levels that we are moving off of this morning are very nice, and they make me a little bit more optimistic on the opportunity of a future move higher. Now, the second thing that I want to really quickly talk about is how I think, and I don't know, I tried to find where I talked about this. I don't know if I talked about it here in the live stream or if I talked about it in the actual Discord chat live stream. We talked about how as soon as the media says everything's okay, as soon as everything's all good, as soon as, everything's clear, virus is not as big as we thought, coast is clear, we're good, we're chilling now. As soon as we see that news article come out from the media, that's when the market's going to come back higher. And that is it's a thing that we have to deal with as traders, as investors, because the media can extremely control this market, and it's very, very interesting. And I don't want to say it is a bad thing, but it is something that we're going to have to live with, right? The media is going to control this market. They're going to instill fear into this market, and I'm sure they have intentions of doing so. But this morning, of course, just like I think a lot of us expected, I personally expected, maybe some of you guys expected as well, the media came out, has a nice little headline saying Omicron, not as serious as originally thought. All this stuff about how it's not that big of a deal. And this is the reaction that you get in the after hours. The NASDAQ is up 2%. The Dow is up, what's the Dow up? The Dow is up 1%. And so you get this bounce back because the media just said we're all good on the virus. Getting too deep into the weeds about what these people say, the headlines that come out about this market, and just following this stuff is just so it's something that I would advise against. So that is we moved higher this morning because we have headlines saying that Omicron is and there's other things, but Omicron's not as serious. It says stock futures gain on Omicron optimism. Stock futures jump as Omicron fears ease. So I think we all could have expected that kind of news comes out. After things start to after stuff starts to cool down. So I'm sure the VIX fell off. I'm not sure what the VIX is at this morning. The VIX is back down to 23, down 11%. It's shot straight down. So I love to see it. We'll see what happens. We're still in a little bit of the weeds, but focusing on those technicals, that is what I think we should all, if you come to my stream, that is what we should all focus on. Focus on the technicals. Stop trying to predict, what's going to happen next based off of emotions and based off of fear. Just watch what is going on the charts. And that really, more times than none, will be correct. There will be times where you're wrong, but more times than none, you will be correct. And that's just from my experience. So, live stream today. Here we go. Futures, as always, we'll take a look. And this is going to be very, very important today. Futures is going to be big. And we talked about futures yesterday. It held every level we wanted it to do. Held 15.7, broke above 15.8. This morning we're up to 16.130. And we have some key levels that we need to watch today. Economic calendar, I'll pull that up, as well as the earnings calendar. I will pull those both up for us to look at in just a second. Apple trade, and we have Apple trade. And I'll go through why I took that trade. Roblox 4-hour hold, very, very nice. TA works when the news when the news is the sort of the news that came out last week about the virus was, I guess you could consider it soft. It's like not it's sort of speculative and caused a lot of panic. So sometimes you're right. Sometimes TA does not work through big news events like big large economic news. Like I've always talked about, sometimes it does not work. But this one, these levels definitely held up. So we'll talk about it in a second. Roblox 4-hour. Visa, Mastercard, American Express bounce back. All three of those I really like for moves back higher. Those things have been getting crushed. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'm not saying that it's time to just jump right in, but I like them. Facebook, yeah, guys. So before everyone gets all crazy, I'm saying here, guys, is that we held up the perfect level on the NASDAQ and on the S&P. We held the levels perfectly. So what happens from today forward, I'm not sure. There is still opportunity for moves lower, Brandon. So I understand what you're saying. However, what I'm talking about is the levels that held yesterday into today. That's what's important to me. So that's what I'm prefacing here. Facebook. Of course, I'm out of it. Everyone knows that, the stock market knows I'm out of the trade, so of course it goes higher. Now, of course, Facebook is much lower than where I got out of it, so still not back really to anywhere that's worth getting upset over. But Facebook, nice bounce back yesterday. Let's keep an eye on this. Nice double bottom. Perfect Nvidia support. Very nice channel support. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. Tesla flag. Tesla. As we sort of saw yesterday, it sort of slipped under that 1,000, but I did not really. I sort of thought that would be a little bit of a fake out under 1,000. So we quickly got back up to 1,000, quickly moved higher, and it was off a perfect previous support. And the flag pattern is still definitely apparent. So definitely watch Tesla. Etsy, big retest on Etsy. I like this chart. And Upstart, a huge risk to reward on Upstart. Definitely something I'm watching. It's a little bit speculative. It's a little bit of a difficult trade. It definitely has a lot of opportunity to be wrong on, but with a small investment, this could be something that is something that could pay off. So I'm definitely watching this one. There's a lot more to be seen and a lot more to be looking at than what I have here on the calendar, which of course I posted it in our technical analysis section in our Discord. And I'll try to get to some more stuff in the after the stream is, towards the end of the stream. If you guys are a member of the YouTube channel, go to the members channel, and you will be able to see the Google Docs that you can put a ticker in for us to look at. So let's go ahead and first look at the economic calendar today. That should be important. Let's see what we got on the calendar here. Today we have trade deficit at 8:30, some productivity unit labor cost at 8:30, and then consumer credit. Let's see what happens at 8:30. Let's see if there is any type of movement on the market at that time. So that should be interesting. Let's keep an eye on that. Tomorrow, nothing crazy. Thursday, just our normal jobless claims. And Friday, our normal CPI core inflation numbers. So nothing out of the ordinary this week, it seems. But we will have to sort of keep an eye on these events, of course. That's the economic calendar. Earnings calendar. Here is today, or this week. This morning, we have AutoZone. Last night, the MongoDB, I know one of you guys talked about this on the live stream, did very well. I think it's MDB. Is the ticker, so you guys can take a look at that. AutoZone, nice. This morning, you have Dave & Buster, Stitch Fix, After Hours today, Toll Brothers. I'm more focused on this Thursday close. I like this Chewy Costco Oracle sort of setup here. Lululemon as well. I like those. I'm definitely going to be watching that on Thursday. So thank you guys for trying to push up the likes on the video. I appreciate that. If you guys could press the like button, if you guys are here early. All right, NASDAQ, guys. NASDAQ. So this is what I'm talking about with technicals. This is what I'm talking about when I say the technicals held up. Let me go ahead and zoom in here for us. Here is what we talked about yesterday, right? And I know we're not out of the weeds yet. I understand that. So if you're going to come here and tell me that we're not out of the weeds yet, I get it. We are not. We are definitely not. However, I don't think you can. I don't think you should. I think you should take into consideration how clean that this bounce is as of right now. Now, of course, we could move lower. Of course, there could be some downside, maybe off a 20 SMA rejection. We're also in a little bit of a supply zone at open. It's possible, and we will talk about that. However, what I am looking at right now is the fact that we came back down to these September highs, put in two beautiful daily chart wicks, held the 50 SMA, and started to push off of it. I like that setup. I like that opportunity. These are the opportunities that I believe are the best times to take trades. Now, why do I say that? Because would you rather chase this upside, right? If you're chasing upside, in certain periods, great. Chasing upside is nice. It's a good opportunity. But at this point, you have a pretty easy risk to reward, right? Because your risk is the lows, and you have the potential to catch a very big move. Now, we'll go into a little bit of a shorter term time frame on here, and I'll show you where I think it's more safe to go long. I don't know if this morning right at open is the time. I think that's very risky. I think you need to give the market some time this morning. But I love the setup that we see here. 50 SMA, you have a beautiful September highs at 15.7, and the way that we held this hold here, to me, guys, is very bullish. And I know during this time, this period of market downside, there was a lot of panic, a lot of news articles, a lot of people getting a little bit crazy. There was, Jerome Powell, there was COVID concerns, there was stuff going on, end of year outflows, and everyone's sort of getting crazy on this downside. And I think maybe a lot of people were waiting for this level here. This 15.7, you're starting to hold up. Of course, we could reject and move back lower, but I like this hold that's here. It's solidifying that there is support in this area. So, 15.7 on the NASDAQ. If we go into the hourly chart, this is really the chart that I am watching here. The hourly chart is showing me a lot, and this is why. So, yesterday, we needed to get above 15.7. 15.7 was a very key we needed to hold 15.7, I'm sorry. That was a very key psychological level. You guys can see in the hourly chart, we put in a very nice double bottom here on 15.7. Here was Friday, here was Monday. You can see the double bottom that occurred right in this demand zone. I like that. That's good to see. Now, we needed to get above 15.8. That was the key breakout level. Why? Because this was previous support that turned into resistance Monday morning. So you have previous support that turned into resistance right here on the NASDAQ. So right here, 15.8 support turned into resistance. We got above that 15.8 yesterday, and we held it. That was a key. I talked about in the Discord chat last night. If you guys are in the chat, we said if we close above 15.8, I am slightly bullish on this move higher. I think a close above 15.8 was the key yesterday. We talked about that in the live stream as well. So we got that 15.8 close. I think that unleashed a little bit of positivity here. Of course, we get a little bit of help from some articles overnight. And we are now above some of these. We engulfed some of this price action, right? So engulfing this price action is very important. Now, here is where I'm slightly concerned. So everything looks good. The 15.7 double bottom, the 15.8 hold, the push higher, right? That looks great. Now, what I am concerned about is the supply that may come in right here around this 16, let's just call it 16.2 to 16.1. This 100-point range is what I am concerned about right in here. This area could potentially create some problems for us, right? So 16.2 to 16.1, you have a lot of supply in this area, and you are definitely starting this morning in that supply zone. So do we need a retest? Do we need some type of pullback before we can really get going here? It's possible. It's possible for us to see a pullback off this supply. Now, what I will say, if we move down to, let's say, 16,000 or 15.9, there is no reason for you to be out here thinking that we are now back to being bearish, because the luxury that we have created on this move higher is that we can now watch previous levels to see if they act as support, right? So even if we do pull back, now we can watch that 16,000 level. Now we can watch that 15.8. We can watch these previous highs around 15.9. So at this point, now the market's up here at 16,130, back in this supply. If we do see any type of weakness in this supply zone, then I definitely am going to be watching some levels of potential support to the downside. That is exactly what I will be watching today. So first off, 16,000 to the downside. That is somewhere that I definitely would love to see. It is psychological. It's also these previous resistance points. It's this previous support here. If we pull back to 16, I would love to see a hold there. Something like this, a little bit of consolidation. That could create a higher low, and then we can create our higher high. Let's see if that happens today. A pullback to 16K, a support hold at it, and then a higher low that is formed, and maybe that sets us up for some more upside. Now, if we zoom out, we're going to look at a trend that I am keeping an eye out for. So hopefully that makes sense. Before we go into the next step, 15.7 held beautifully, double bottom. We called that great. 15.8 close, awesome. Pushing higher into supply today. So we are opening in a supply zone. So be careful here, guys. I don't know if you're going to be having, a beautiful start to the morning. If we do, that is very bullish. I mean, if we get straight up here out of the gates, that's very bullish. If we do not, I could understand why. It makes total sense why we would get that. Because we're opening here at previous support, which I'm sure there is a lot of potential sellers trying to get out of positions. They are back to break even, and I'm sure there's an imbalance of sellers in this area. So watch this 16.1, 16.2 supply zone this morning. That should be on your watch. If we go out to, let's say, the 4-hour chart, the downtrend, it's not as apparent as the downtrend on the ES. We could sort of draw it like this. Maybe you draw it from the wick. There's a few ways to draw this downtrend, right? So it's not going to be a perfect one, because do you include the wick or do you not include the wick? If you include the wick, the downtrend looks something like this, right? And you have the potential for a downtrend breakout if you get above this supply zone. If you see the supply zone that we just drew, if you get above that level, the 16.2, and you break above this potential downtrend, then that is where I'd feel a little bit more confident for that push higher. You have the 100 SMA on the 4-hour there as potential resistance. So this 16.2 area is going to be tough. For today, what I'll say is if we close above 16.2 today, if we're able to actually close here above 16.2, which would probably be about a 2% day on the NASDAQ, that makes me a lot more confident for upside. If we do close above this supply zone, if we turn this into support, that would be great. So, to review the NASDAQ here, guys, real quick, 30-second review. Daily chart, 15.7, beautiful double bottom. We got through 15.8 resistance, and this morning we open up in a supply zone here at 16.2. That is what I would be watching. You can see the downtrend. You can see the supply zone. There is definitely potential for this downside move this morning off of this resistance. I don't love to see strong pre-markets. I'd rather have seen this move yesterday intraday with a little bit of a down pre-market this morning and then a nice pop out of the gates today. That's a move that I would rather see than seeing this entire move in the after hours. So let's see what happens. I could see the reason for this and then see if we can hold that 16. That would be my key thing, a 16,000 hold on the NASDAQ today. All right, that's the NASDAQ. Let's get into the ES. ES, very similar. It's actually even more beautiful than the NASDAQ. Look at this killer bounce on the ES. Just technicals, guys. It's all about the technicals. 15.7, 45.40, September highs, 50 SMA. Look at the hold we had here at the 50. Look at this bounce higher. We are back above the 20 SMA on the daily, which is pretty crazy to see. And I believe we are above the downtrend. I believe we are breaking out of a down. Yeah, we absolutely are breaking out of a downtrend. So here was the downtrend on the ES. It was pretty sharp, and you can see this is a pretty damn strong breakout of this downtrend. When was the last time that we did this exact same thing, guys? When was the last time that we broke out of a downtrend after a very nice hold? You guys can see right here. I know this one's a little bit more on a downward slope, but where did we last break out of a downtrend after a little bit of a hold? You can see a hold here, downtrend, boom, downtrend, a little bit of a hold at September highs, 15 or 45.40, boom, break out of the downtrend. I like that on the ES. I really, really like to see this. So very nice move on the ES. Has potential for downside moves, of course, as it was a big move in the future or in the after hours. So that's always possible. But I am very happy to see that move. This morning, we are going to be opening up in a little bit of a supply area as well. You guys can see these previous lows, which we have this support, and we could definitely resistance and resistance, right? So support, resistance. This could be a supply zone on SPY as well, ES. So that is something to watch. However, the downtrend has broken. I like to see that. This could definitely continue. All right, that's the ES. The key here, guys, for everyone was just watching the previous highs, looking for the break and retest. That is what I look at on a daily basis. It very rarely fails me, and you continue to look for the break and retest. I promise you will find trade setups, even intraday, even on shorter term time frames. It's a beautiful setup. The Dow, what a bounce. Killer bounce, making up for all this virus concern, all the virus panic that came into this market. This huge move downside on the Dow here. This huge red candle because the Omicron virus came out, is now basically fully made up. You can see that in a matter of 4 days. We are back straight up, just about 0.8% off of these previous levels. So I love to see us back above 35.5. I think if we close above 35.5 on the Dow today, you're going to get some very nice moves here on the Dow. And those Dow names that got hit, those travel names that got hit because of the virus concerns should rip today. I'm sure they're already ripping in the pre-market. And I'm sure you're going to see maybe some continued moves after this, all this panic that set into the market. Everyone that panic sold their plays here, sold their long-term shares here, it's just never panic. That's the moral of the story. Don't panic over things like that. All right, RTY. Russell, if you guys traded the channel, congratulations. The channel trade is sort of working here. You guys can see the channel trade. I'm not a big trader of the Russell. I don't really trade small caps, so I don't watch this as much. But if you watch small caps, if you trade small caps, it looks like the channel trade may be working out. You have a bullish engulfing candle here today, and maybe this continues. All right, so to review the futures, guys, to give you a quick synopsis, to give you a quick feeling of the market for myself, I'm bullish with concern. I'm cautiously optimistic. I like some of the setups that I see on the technicals. However, I do understand that there is supply to the upside. So I'm going to be optimistic, but I'm going to be very cautious today. I'm going to see if I start to see rejections come in. If I do, then I understand why. I see the supply zones. I see the resistance that's above us, and I would understand why we would move a little bit lower today. However, I like the hold that came in. You guys know I've been watching that 15.7 like a hawk for about 2 weeks now, even longer. When we first broke out in October, I always talked about how I think we should pull back to that 15.7. And it came true. So I love it. Happy to see it. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so let's go and jump over to our Apple trade. Hopefully the futures analysis makes some sense to you guys. If it did, if you guys could, press that like button. That would be fantastic if you guys could help me out with the like button. All right, so Apple. Why did I take Apple? Why did I take an Apple call option yesterday? Here is why, guys. I'll pull it up in the Discord chat, and I'll show you how I sort of go through this before the hand and how it sort of worked out after the fact. So I took some Apple 1217 170 calls. Why did I take them? I was playing it off the Friday high, and I'll show you guys what that Friday high is. You can see I put the charts and how I have a stop under 165 because that was Friday's high. I did not want to see it back below Friday's high. I played it off of it. You can see here, look at the double bottom right off Friday's highs intraday. And that is why I took that trade. I'm just taking trades based off technical factors. If the technical factors do not hold up, I get out of the trade. It's as simple as that. I'm not getting into Apple because, it's going straight up on the day. I'm not getting into Apple because I'm emotional about, something on Apple. I got into Apple because I was looking at the charts. I saw it pulled back to Friday's highs. I saw it started to hold at that Friday's high. It started to double bottom. And you can see, I didn't get into Apple, here as it was going straight up. I got into Apple as it started to pull back, as it started to hold a structure point, as it started to give me good risk to reward. The risk to reward was very high. My risk was right under 165. It was a point lower. It was $1 lower on Apple. That was my risk. So if I was to lose on this trade, I would have lost tiny, guys, and I'm not scared to lose money. I'm not scared to lose 1%, a 0.5%, a 0.25% of my portfolio. Those are losses that I can come back from. What I am scared to do is to miss out on high risk to reward trades because I'm worried about losing $100, $200, $300, stuff that I go and spend, at times I will go and spend on, dinner with, my friends or something like that. And I don't like to say that like, you know what I mean? Like $100, $200, if it's 1% of my portfolio, I can't be scared to lose that because of a trade setup that I may not, that I'm scared to take. When I see a very good setup, a good risk to reward setup, you have to put on risk that you're willing to lose. And 1, 2, 3% of my portfolio is around that area that I am comfortable losing. So that is why I put this Apple trade on. I gave an update at 3:53 last night, 3:53 in the afternoon yesterday, that we held the 165. I'm going to swing the contract. Small risk, that's why I'm comfortable. Not 100% confident on the NQ, but I do want some exposure to the upside in case this close carries into tomorrow. If not, I take a small loser, and I'm not scared to lose, right? So that's awesome. So that worked out great. That worked out very, very nice. Very happy to be holding that this morning, and we'll see what happens with that trade. So here's Apple. Here is where we held that level. So right here, this Friday high, this was 165, right at the 5-minute. You guys can see this was Friday right here, this Friday high, right there. So Kevin, sometimes it's the psychology of trading is a little bit more important than the technicals. Psychology of trading is probably more important than looking at technicals, and that's why I go through the psychology of my thought process. I know it may come off as defensive at times, like I'm trying to prove something, but I think it's very. When I listen to other people talk about stuff and psychology, and when they try to get a point across a little bit, not aggressive, but a little bit on, a pushy side, it really sort of resonates with me. So, I'm not trying to be negative or defensive. I'm just trying to get across the psychology behind, why I look at things. And, I'm sorry if it comes off in a wrong way, but I'm not trying to be that way. I just like to explain the psychology behind trades because the psychology behind trades is way more important. Any of you guys could have saw that Friday high. How you played the trade off the Friday high is even more important than just playing off that Friday high on Apple. So sorry guys if it comes off the wrong way. Anyways, Friday high here on Apple, 165. You guys can see we pushed higher, we pulled back, And this is where I took this trade, right? So when we pulled back to this Friday high right here and we started to hold, you guys see this hold here? When I saw this hold, I started to get interested and wanted to take that trade, right? So took that trade. It didn't look great. It sort of stayed sideways the rest of the day. And the fact that we held the 165 into close is why I held on to it into today. I saw this hold into 165. I just said, you know what? It's small risk. I wanted it to hold 165. And as long as it did, I'm going to stay in it. I'm going to stay in it as long as it holds 165. And I'm not going to let my emotions take me out of this trade. So it held it. The number on the chart was 165 and higher at the close of the day, and that was it. That's why I held it. So you can see we held it, and yeah, just a very, very nice move, and should be up, I don't know, maybe, I would assume probably close to 100% today. So it should be a nice trade. Very nice. Apple trade, really like it. And of course, guys, on top of, so real quick, I know I'm taking a little bit of the time here. On top of just the technicals on Apple, we have all seen how strong Apple has been in this market environment. So just the fact, on top of the technicals that I saw, the fact that we all knew and the entire market knew that Apple has been an absolute killer of a stock in this downside move is why I was more confident on going with Apple. Apple, I know, has been absolutely killer. Has been so resilient to any market downside, and me seeing that on top of the technicals that I saw really gave me the confidence to go with the trade. So that was the trade on Apple. We'll see what happens. Roblox, I love this setup as well. This setup could be beautiful if we get market participation. If the market continues higher, which is not a given, this is what am I missing here? This is why I could see Roblox start to move higher. If market participates, 110, you guys can see previous support or previous resistance. Look how it turned into support yesterday. I love to see that. I'm liking that hold that's starting to happen here at 110. And if we start to move into this trend, this could be a very big opportunity. Now, of course, there is a potential for a rejection and a little bit more of trading within this channel. That's always possible, right? Within a flag pattern, that is possible for us to see. However, the stop was under 165. However, I think Roblox is a strong name. It's up to around 118 here in the pre-market. So I think if we can get over this 120 psychological, which is these previous highs, I think this unleashes this move a little bit. I would for sure be watching Roblox here. I would for sure be watching Roblox out of this little flag pattern. If we start to get this push higher, then I definitely could foresee a beautiful move on a stock that is hot, that has cooled down, that is probably starting to accumulate some more buyers here, guys. Like there is definitely people, starting to load up here on Roblox, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I definitely could foresee. I started purchasing shares of Roblox myself in this area. I think this is a beautiful pullback on a strong name, about a 22% pullback. If we break this 4 hour, I really like that. I really like that setup. So that's what I'd watch. Visa. Visa's the next one. Here's the daily chart. And I got to say, I really like this setup. I know it's a little bit ugly. I know Visa's been a lot under pressure. I know the sector has been under pressure, but I'm loving the volume that's starting to come in here. You guys can see this volume starting to heat up. I think people are definitely a lot of hands being traded here. We're starting to hold up. This is the weekly chart, remember. So a weekly chart shows some really big, these are big candles here. This is a week of price action. And what you guys will notice over the last 3 weeks, we've started to put in some very healthy wicks to the upside, some very bullish wicks here on the weekly chart. And to this week right here is our first green week. I believe that you are starting to find support at these January lows. This is the yearly lows That's another thing that I am really interested in. It is back down to the lows of this year. So, does Visa hold the lows of this year? Start to curl off that on the weekly chart. Does it start to try to find support here? I would be on the side of definitely being interested in this move because there is some major risk to reward here. Your risk is back down below these lows, and your reward in a very long time period could be back to the all-time highs. Could Visa return back to all-time highs? You could buy some shares of Visa for a long-term portfolio. Maybe you buy some year-out leaps or 2-year-out leaps. I think this is presenting a decent opportunity. Now, of course, it could all not work out, but that is why you have risk management, and that is why you get out if it breaks these lows. So I like Visa. One thing that I would like to see to make me a little bit more confident would be a break of 207. You guys can see that you can see this 207 right here. Could be a pretty nasty rejection point if Visa does reject off that level. That is the previous swing low. And how do you reverse the trend of a downtrend, right? Because Visa is definitely in a downtrend. How do you reverse that trend? You need to make a higher high, and you need to get above the swing low. So this is your swing low right here. You need to get above that, right? You need to do this. You need to retest. If you get this move right here, this trade is on. This trade is definitely on. If you see this move, if you see Visa break 207, pull back, hold that 207 as support, start to curl off of it, then this trade is definitely on Visa. So I love that. Definitely watching Visa here. Mastercard, very similar. Mastercard is at a 1-year low as well, holding support. This one is a little bit more choppy in this area, so I'm being a little bit careful here. I think you need to break above 339. I think that's the level you want to see break. 339 on Mastercard. And then American Express, a very similar trade. Off these, let me delete that because that didn't really act as resistance. Off these lows here, right at 150, starting to bounce. Very nice. I figured you'd get some resistance in this area, but it is clear that we are getting right above it. And it looks like American Express could very well be on a very similar trajectory as Visa and MasterCard off this low. Very nice. Let's see if this continues. I think at this point, you want to see these lows hold right around this 158. All right. That is Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Facebook. So, Facebook. You guys know I did take my loss on Facebook. I believe it was on this day right here. This nasty red candle, had to get out of Facebook. Totally broke this uptrend that I was watching, and it was time for me to get out. So I did take my loss there. But we are very nicely holding this double bottom. So left side, little double bottom, one bottom, two bottoms, right around 310. Let's see if this continues, guys. I'm not ready to, get into this thing just yet. I think there's probably a lot more time to get a better, a higher probability trade. Because, we can move up here and start to reject again off this 330. We could reject off this trend line. So there could be some opportunity for some short-term trades here, absolutely. But the longer-term trade, the big trade back to highs, if that ever happens, maybe that happens if we start to break this downtrend. If we start to break this little downtrend that you guys see in the charts, that's something that maybe makes me a little bit more confident if we get through that. But the double bottom's there. Maybe there's some trading opportunity here, guys. Maybe back up to around this 325, which we are basically right at this morning. Let me go to the 4-hour. So here's the 4-hour. So we're back towards that 325 already, because I was saying that because of this area right here, this 323, 325 area right in this level. These lows here, which could act as resistance, and then you have all of this sort of price action. So I'd watch out for this 325, see if it acts as some resistance. If not, maybe this thing's got some pressure to the upside, but that's going to depend on the NASDAQ, of course. But either way, Facebook double bottom, that's what I'd be watching for that name. Nvidia, a beautiful, beautiful hold here at these previous levels. You guys can see it. It's very clean. 290, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perfect. Not much else to say besides just a perfect support. Probably some resistance as we approach these previous lows. That's where we are going to be opening up this morning. So you guys can see all this area right here. You see all these previous lows. That will most likely turn into resistance this morning. So we are right back at that level. So you can see right there, and we are probably going to find some resistance in that area. So if I go to, let's say, the hourly chart, you are going to see that even better. So right here, let me delete these circles to make this a little bit cleaner. So you guys can see, right? Previous support could potentially act as resistance this morning. So be careful of that. We're going to be opening sort of at that resistance. So be aware, that's a little bit dangerous. But if we do start to push through, maybe, or if the NASDAQ rejects and moves lower, honestly, this could be a good downside play. Maybe you fill the gap to the downside. Maybe you played off this previous support acting as resistance. That's totally possible as well. Either way, the support on Nvidia down at 290 is great, and that's a level I'd watch. All right, daily chart on Tesla. Look at that wick that we put in yesterday, under 1,000. That's a very strong wick. You wicked under 1,000. You pushed higher. You closed above 1,000. I love to see that. This is still the view, or what am I trying to? This is still the setup of a bull flag. That's what I'm trying to say. This is still the look of a bull flag here on Tesla. Look at how strong that hold was yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4. Huge wick, huge buying pressure under 1,000. Beautiful bounce higher, almost 40 points this morning. This is still a very potential bull flag. This could still do something like this and have a huge run in the future. I am on the fence of buying some long-dated call options on Tesla, which I know is such a risky thing to do. But, if we look back in the past and we look back at the last time that Tesla made a bull flag, you guys can see what ended up happening in the long term. If that does the similar type of bull flag here, I am very, very interested. So I am definitely watching the potential of a bull flag on Tesla here. And there is a very large gap here to the upside. And there is definitely some room in this area to go to move higher. So I would definitely be watching Tesla today. Definitely. Etsy. Now, of course, guys, this is all contingent, right? Remember, I know these look great. NASDAQ is opening in a supply zone. If the NASDAQ rejects off that supply zone, some of these moves are not going to happen today. There's going to be some pressure, right? There's going to be some downside pressure if you start to see those rejections. So, of course, remember that. All right, this is Etsy, and this is the 4-hour chart. Now, why do I like this? I like this because you got a ridiculous move lower. A ridiculous move lower. 30% in about 5 days. Just really, really ridiculous in my opinion. And the fact that it is finding support here at these previous resistance levels, previous support that was built here, I think this is a perfect break and retest, and I would definitely be watching this to see if Etsy can start to build support at this 225, can start to bounce off this 225, can start to engulf some of this previous price action. I think this is a little bit of an overextended downside move that could definitely present some opportunity to the upside. So 30% from the highs. Very nice little retest level of 225. I would be watching Etsy today to bounce off that level. It's up to 232 in the pre-market. All right, that's Etsy. Again, guys, I want to remind you, if you come to my live streams, these are trade setups. These are not guaranteed winners, but I give you trade setups, stuff that I am watching. All right. Last but not least, Upstart. One that is presenting a massive risk to reward potentially. If this gap ever fills in the future, back up to 280, 300, you are going to be highly rewarded if you are in it from down here. if that gap ever fills. Now, why am I watching this here? You have an uptrend, 1, 2, 3, and potentially 4 here on Upstart. Now, I am not ready to get into this. This is not somewhere where I would be, fully confident in jumping in just yet. I need to see some price action get engulfed here. So I need to see maybe a break above these previous lows that turned into resistance right here around 191. So you guys can see right in this area, you can see that we had previous support that turned into resistance. If we get above that, that is a little bit of a better sign for me and gives me a little bit more confidence to potentially take an Upstart swing trade. Of course, it'll be with small risk because there's potential for downside, and the risk is pretty small because I don't have much to the downside here, right? I can put my stop under 191s. I can even put my stop down below these lows if I wanted to give it some more space. And the potential reward is absolutely huge. I mean, imagine, I don't like to say the word imagine because imagine is a bad word to talk about in the stock market. But just if this thing actually finds some legs and tries to fill this gap, that's about a 75% move to the upside. To the start of that gap, about 52%. For a potential risk of about, 10%. It's about it could be a 7-to-1, a 5-to-1. It could be a very large risk to reward. I would definitely be watching this. I'm not sure it's ready, but it's definitely something to keep on your watch list. All right. If you guys could, real quick, before we get into a few more tickers, take a second, press the like button. If you're new here, if you come here every day, I'm not sure why people don't press the like button. If you do, thank you so much for your support. I very much appreciate that. Likes really help, guys. If you're not aware about the YouTube algorithm, a like really pushes the video. It gets other people watching. It tells, YouTube's algorithm that, people are enjoying the video. If you're here, if you're enjoying it, why not press the like button? Thank you guys so much for your support. If you want, subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you're not subscribed. So thank you guys. So let's go over some more charts. Am I offline? What the hell? You guys still there? I just got an alert that I am offline. I think I'm still here. I'm sure the chat's going to start saying, you're here over again. But are you guys still here? Let me know before I go any further. Yeah. All right. Yeah, YouTube just said you are offline. I don't know. All right. I'm all by talking to myself, man. All right. So here we go. Here's the chat. Here we go. The chat starts going. Yes. All right. Square. All right. Square. That's the first one that that we have. We have Square, Affirm. We already looked at Upstart. We already looked at Roblox. We have Square, Affirm, and Costco coming up here in just about 5 minutes. So Square, let's go ahead and look at it first. So this is a play that I would love to catch to the right side, to the upside, but I just don't know, guys. I just really don't know. The one thing that maybe it gets you that maybe gets you pushing here a little bit is the 100 SMA on the weekly chart. That is something that 100 SMA on the weekly chart does not get tested very often. So maybe that is where we start to hold here on Square. However, I'm just not someone that likes to try to catch this type of move. As you guys saw on all the plays that we looked at previously, there's structure points, right? There's support that's proving itself. There's previous support turning into resistance. There's double bottoms. There's inverse head and shoulders. There's break and retests. This is just a shot in the dark, honestly, on Square. This is just a shot in the dark. There's nothing here. There's no technical levels, and I have to stay away from stuff like this. I can't just buy Square here because I think it's overextended to the downside. That's just not something that I am going to be doing. So, yes, Yes, Square is very extended to the downside. However, I would be just a little bit careful. Watch the 100 SMA on the weekly. Give this thing a few weeks. Let this thing get back above 193. That's what I would say. Let it get back above 193. That is what I'd like to see. Give you a little bit more reason. Give you a little bit more reason to be, have some confidence there. All right, Affirm. I haven't looked at Affirm in a long time, and it looks like it finally gave back this move and finally came back to hold this previous level here. It looks like it almost filled that gap. You guys can see there's a gap here. It almost filled that gap. But let me see. All right, so here we go. All right, so you have this very nice support at 107. You can see that, right? Multiple times, 107, 107, 107 for like 7 days straight. Continued to hold 107 and finally pushed off of it. So you're back at that 107, right? So do you play it off this 107? Maybe. Yeah, maybe you could. Let's look at the shorter term time frames to get an idea of an entry. You always want to look at where previous support turned into resistance, right? So look at this. It's very easy. You guys can see previous support turned into very clear resistance. So what do you want to see in order to see that this trend could potentially turn bullish? You need to see the swing lows break. You need to see us break above the previous swing lows. So you have a swing low here. This is your downtrend low. You need to see us get above that level, hold it, and then push higher. So that is exactly what you need. We've talked about this exact same chart formation multiple times. If you guys are looking to catch trades in a downtrend, this is probably a good video to make actually. Trying to catch the reversal, trying to catch trades in a downtrend. Look for the break of the previous lows. Look for the break and look for it to engulf that low, right? Because you have your lows, you have it turn into support or into resistance. It's right there. It's very clear. Wait for that swing low to break. Wait for that thing to break above. And once it does, that's when you can try to catch this thing bullish. Until then, buying Affirm right now is giving you all of the opportunity to get a huge rejection off here again. And you would just look at this and say, well, damn, why would I buy Affirm there? It's very clear there was previous resistance here. It's very clear that this was support that turned into resistance. I just totally took a terrible entry. Give yourself a little bit of more confidence here. Wait for the break above that. That's what I would say. Buying it here, a little bit of a shot in the dark. Not quite ready in my opinion, but definitely something that could be ready within a few days. Last but not least, we'll leave it off with Costco. One of the most badass stocks on the market. I love Costco. Costco's a killer. The only thing that I'd be concerned about, guys, is earnings is approaching. So I can't really help you with this one, unfortunately. Costco is a very nice bounce, nice retest. You guys can see break, retest, very nice. However, can't really help you because, earnings are approaching and this thing could go either this way or it could go that way. And I can't tell you what it's going to do because I can't read the future. All right, it's 9 o'clock. I need to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. Press the like button if you could. We're almost close to everyone in here pressing the like button. That would be, that's like an impossible thing on YouTube, if you guys know. On live streams, it's like nearly impossible to get everyone to press the like button. But maybe one day. Thank you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you want. Stay tuned for more. Press the like button. If you guys want to join the Discord chat, it's down below. You guys can check that out. And yeah, if you guys are in the Discord chat and you're in this live stream, I will see you guys there in about 2 minutes. Let me go ahead and get some water, and I'll head over to there. All right, guys, have a great day. Be careful. Watch out for the morning open at the supply zone. That is going to be something to be careful of. Be careful of that opening. Give this market 15, 30 minutes at open. Let it play out. You don't need to trade right at open. Don't need to trade right at open. Be patient. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.